Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League match day 1. Games on Wednesday. On Thursday we have in the channel also the games for Tuesday. So now it's time to see some of the favorites. PSG, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Barcelona. Great show ahead of us with our experts. Alain Valnegri. Hello, Alain. Leo Bachanian. Hola, Leo. Guys, I'm sure you are ready to analyze these very good games. So let's enjoy the Champions League. In the meantime, as always, don't forget to press the like, to subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. Well, let's start with the games we have on Wednesday. If you are looking for the early kickoffs, we have it in the other video in the channel with Tom Rennie and Ronan Murphy about the Champions League. Here we start at 9 p.m. Central European Time in the Johan Cruyff Arena. Ajax Inter in a very poor start of the season for Inter in this new project for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲. They finished the season very bad with Simone Inzaghi. The team was tired, we could see it, but this season they lost to Udinese, big surprise, and to Juventus, and this is itchy for Inter. Ajax, they started all right the season, 3 wins and 2 draws after throwing away the title last season. Alain, how do you see this Inter? What's the problem? What do you think is going on?
Well, the problem, I think, is not it's the problems. Inter, in my opinion, is the end of cycle, because when do you lose 3 titles in 3 weeks, it's difficult to invert the tendency with the same squad. Inter during the summer don't buy, maybe except 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐻, but 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐻 can't move the balance and can't improve the team. Inter don't have any new player to change the things and start a new cycle, because the team are the average, the age average in this team is really high, and Kiwis don't have a lot of experience. Probably with Inzaghi, one of the only limits the team have was the concentration, because team lose the game 10, 15, 20 minutes, and that one was one of the limits of the Inter. And with 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺, we have that problem, but we don't understand how the team wanna play, from the pressure, from the line of the block. Yes, there have a lot of problem inside of the vestiary during the World Cup of the club. We saw a lot of problem, and Lautaro fighting with 𝐶𝐴𝐺𝐻, Thuram was with 𝐶𝐴𝐺𝐻. That one in a vestiary is a problem. And since the beginning of the season, except the game against the Toro, I felt not a team. His individual player play for himself. Now in Ajax, in my opinion, is younger than the last season. I think his former team, like former manager, he known the model of play, and in Ajax is very important. That for that reason, I think we'll see goal. Inter concede a lot of occasion, but Inter score, and Ajax exactly the same. And for that game, I choose both teams to score. Odds 1.62.
Well, plenty of goals we've seen in Inter games. Leo, it was a really enjoyable game, the Derby d'Italia, actually, although if you're an Nerazzurro fan, probably you don't agree.
Yes, I mean, entertaining it was, but it can tell you as well a lot about this Inter. They lost their soul. From the Inzaghi era, only the players are left, as Alain was saying. Sometimes you don't see a team, you see no aura within them. Sometimes there's not much football, and also they're without luck, and that will happen as well on Saturday with Juventus, because that defeat was incredible. You put 𝐜𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐿 for a week shooting on goal, and he won't score again that missile. But at the same time, I had the feeling that we cannot keep asking if today's Inter's reality is a product of that final that they lost with PSG. I understand why 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐻, for example, gets very upset when he keep being asked that question. because 5 months have passed already. So the team needs to move on. There's no other alternative. The problem as well is that when you need to change things and you look at the options you have, and the options are still Darmian, are still Zelensky if you need to change the game. The options on the left, the discussion are still the same. Carlos Augusto or Di Marco, you depend on Çalhanoğlu deciding to show up or not, Lautaro being far away from his best, looking tired. All this against this very young Ajax, which I agree with Alain. Yes, they still have the upper hand. They're still favorites, and probably they could win the game. Ajax could, I'm thinking of a game which could be Ajax will try to make it a little bit more cagey for the first half. But as always with Ajax, a mix of experience and young talents. You still have like 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, 𝗀𝐿assen, Steven Bergwijn is in there, and then another young players like 𝐿𝐿𝐴, the Belgian winger, 20 years old. He scored a brace on the wing on the weekend. In midfield, next to 𝗀𝐿assen, Taylor and Rieger. Rieger especially is a midfielder, which the games I saw about Ajax, I like. He's a very versatile. He can play defensive midfielder. He can play behind the number 9 as a more creative one. And the number 10, everyone is waiting, okay, what he could do. Oskar Glouk, the Israeli coming from RB Leipzig, 15 million Ajax paid this summer. He came from the bench on the weekend, and we will see if he starts with Inter. But yes, this Inter has lost something. My take in this one, Eduardo, first half double chance for Ajax, 1.57.
Next game is one of the best ones we can see in this Champions League. Two candidates to the title, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. More Bayern Munich, but also Chelsea. If we check the odds, actually both are favorites. Bayern, perfect start of the season, smashing all the rivals. They are very strong at the moment. Luis Diaz landed perfectly also to Baviera. Kane scoring plenty of goals. This is normal in life. And Chelsea, Leo, they were better than Brentford. They deserve to win, but they threw away 2 points. I think they have a problem with the goalkeeper first, with the defenders next, and this can cost them a lot of points. Perhaps they are a step below Bayern Munich in the favoritism, in my opinion.
Yes, they are, and I can still see how Chelsea will cope with this Bayern, especially after that first half against Brentford on Saturday. I agree the goalkeeper, defenders are a big problem. I still don't understand why, for example, when Donnarumma was available, we haven't even heard of Chelsea trying to go for him. There are things which are strange. João Pedro asking Maresca, and something that Maresca said it publicly after the game. João Pedro asking the manager not to play against Brentford, and Maresca anyway played him for almost the whole game, 79 minutes. João Pedro telling him like, listen, I don't feel 100% fit. I'm coming from playing 400 meters above sea level against Bolivia, the international break, the traveling. And he didn't care. He played him anyway. The good news, Cole Palmer returning from injury, returning with a goal, because Liam Delap now is also injured, and Jackson is injured. That's why Maresca probably have played João Pedro, despite him asking not to. Esteban is not confirmed. Gittens is still adapting, I would say. And the problem with Chelsea is that the replacements are not good enough for this type of games, I believe. Jorrel Hato, Darabioyo, Fofana, who is more injured than fit, Tyreek George. There is a quality of players in some areas. Michael Olise against Cucurella is going to be a great duel. Luis Diaz against Malo Gusto or Rhys James. Serge Gnabry and Harry Kane drifting behind Caicedo. Kimmich looking out for Palmer, Stanisic having his duels with Neto, and the team winning those duels is the one who should win the game. I think Bayern's quality in those 1v1s are better, and the supporting elements of Bayern are better than Chelsea. In Chelsea's favor, Bayern's defense is having their own problems. Augsburg scoring twice, Wiesbaden in the cup scoring 2 goals too. My take here is Bayern to win, that combined with Harry Kane to score or to assist anytime, odds of 2.5 65. Some other markets, if anyone wants to have a look, Olise and Diaz to score or to assist, 1.81. Cole Palmer for the same is at 2.2. But again, my one is Bayern to win and Harry Kane to score or assist anytime.
Special game for Nico Jackson. He just moved from Chelsea to Bayern Munich in the summer. Alain, you also see Bayern as favorites. I'm surprised about the odds for the outright market. It pays basically the same, Bayern to win the Champions League and Chelsea to win the Champions League.
Yes, Bayern started always really strong, the Champions League. The first 3-4 months of the competition, Bayern are really strong. Now with this Bayern, my question is, company have problem when he play against big team, and it was the last season in Europe. We saw a poor version of Bayern in Champions League, especially when they played away. Normally, when they played at home, Bayern is not a safe bet because it's a big team, it's a big game against Chelsea. But yes, Bayern don't have some problem when they played at home. Chelsea. The question is, Maresca can improve the last season, because last season was brilliant. Nobody waits Chelsea win 2 titles, especially the World Cup of club, and same the conference, and catch a spot in Champions League. Yeah, unbelievable the season. Now to repeat the season. The team I think is really young, and in that type of game you need experience. You need experience. In Brentford, I saw a Chelsea in defensive transition, really weak, and maybe is the part of the game where Chelsea suffer more is the transition. In Munich, the Bayern will take the initiative and will have the ball possession, and Chelsea can play a team with big concentration, with a low block and attacking in transition. I have some doubt. It's true they won the World Cup like that, but I see this Bayern with a strong offensive powder, and for that reason I choose Bayern winning. Odds 1.70.
Very, very strong. Let's see when the injuries arrive to Bayern Munich, because I think they have a problem on the bench, but so far they are brilliant. Next game is a really good one. Again, Liverpool,
yep.
Atlético de Madrid. Also Liverpool, brilliant start in the results. I wouldn't say in the way of playing, because they had to wait until the last minute in every game in the Premier League to win it, especially last Sunday against Burnley. They were quite poor. They didn't shoot on target from the box, only Szoboszlai from far away. We are not seeing Salah's best version. We are not seeing Wirtz yet in the Premier League, but is 4 out of 4. They are favorites for this game. A game, by the way, or a stadium, Alain, that bring good memories for Atlético de Madrid fans, by the way. And I'm not sure if we are going to see Julián Álvarez, who picked up an injury against Villarreal in the first win of the season for Atlético.
But this one can be really heavy, because it's so important for Atlético Madrid. Atlético Madrid, I think the squad that had a lot of quality. How many money they spent during the summer? More than 2,000 million euro. And now Simeone, I want to see the first Simeone when he was able to win a league in Argentina. He was not a defensive team. People don't have memory. But with this squad, we must pretend something different, because we are tired about this conservative football. If you check the squad about Atlético Madrid, the offensive talent is amazing. This team must to dominate the game. You have quality in the wing, you have goal, you have powder, you have everything. And My question is not the end of the cycle of Simeone to Atletico Madrid. This season, if Atletico Madrid don't win a title, in my opinion, Simeone must to leave. And I am a big fan of Simeone because what he's doing in Atletico Madrid, he wrote the history. Is the best moment of the history of Atletico Madrid with Simeone in the bench. But we need something more because the club have a big structure that make brilliant singing during the summer. Last season was the same, and after the season start, and we saw low block, they start to win, low block, wait. In Liga, the team, fortunately, they won against Villarreal. Maybe it can be the reference game to start the season. We wait a confirmation in Anfield. Liverpool is a team have the biggest skill of Liverpool is his capacity to adapt themselves to the rival. And we saw a lot different version of Liverpool since the beginning of the season. Because if you catch the game in Newcastle, the game against Arsenal, and in Brugge is three teams totally different. And when do you have that capacity to adapt themselves, to change the match plan, and found the keys to open the game and won the game in that way, with that mentality, yes, now is one of the top 4 favorites to the Champions League. And yes, I see Liverpool favorite for this game. I checked the foul because some duel in the game will be really interesting, and I found a value bet with David 𝐻𝐭, the Slovakian defender of Atletico Madrid. If he make a foul, the odds are 2.00. 𝐻𝐻𝐭 make minimal 1 foul in the game, 2.00.
Interesting. Atletico won the first game of the season, but they weren't better than Villarreal, actually, Leo. They were lucky. They only shot on target twice. Villarreal hit the woodwork. So there is something that is not clicking for Atletico de Madrid.
And for sure, Simeone is hoping to have Julian available for Anfield. And I would just add to what Alain said about Simeone in Argentina, playing a completely different style of what we are seeing him with Atletico de Madrid through the years. A very, very attacking side in Argentina he had, especially with River. That it was the same with Catania, Alain, if you remember.
Yeah.
Simeone's Catania was a very attacking team. Then he changed his approach to football. Look, Burnley on Sunday, after 31 minutes, I remember seeing the stat on the screen, they recorded 47 passes only. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Atletico shows similar numbers on Wednesday, to be honest. A tight encounter, still Liverpool favorites, yes, which I agree, but the bookies, although put the margin a bit excessive for me. I'm not very optimistic with this Liverpool in the Champions League. I don't think they are equipped to win the Champions League. Even this Atletico that has not started well the season can hurt them or make them suffer in Anfield. You can get away with Burnley with that high line that gives you option for counter almost every time. But Atletico running with Julian if he plays, with Nico Gonzalez, with Llorente coming from behind from the right, that could be different against Liverpool's defense. They are lacking options in central defense. They are lacking options in midfield. I think that Luis Diaz letting him go was a mistake. I don't understand why Liverpool never value him enough. Curtis Jones was getting paid more than him in Liverpool. Slot is not finding the right place in the system for Florian Wirtz. 𝐿𝐵𝐻𝐿, for me, is not Champions League elite, and Alexander Isak, who probably will play a bit on the game, he's of course world class. He still needs probably another 2 months before we see him at his best footballing level and physical level, and always the risk of him getting injured after not having any preseason. I think in the Premier League they're gonna win or the game title or probably fight it until the end. But in the Champions League, I think will be different for Liverpool. Although in January, yes, they could add 𝗲𝗏𝗄 finally and add a little bit more quality in that area. But I understand that after spending more than 500 million euros, everyone is expecting them to win almost everything. Look, Edu, Alain, Liverpool have scored a late winner in all of their Premier League games so far. And Atlético Madrid, we know they can write a memorandum on winning games late. Repeatedly, they have done it last season in La Liga. They done it away to PSG in the Champions League last season as well. So my take here is to have a goal either from Liverpool or from Atlético after the 78th minutes, 1.83. A late goal in the game, 1.83.
And the good memories that I mentioned for Atlético de Madrid at Anfield came in 2020, just before the
pandemic year,
with Llorente scoring a late goal. Liverpool were favorites number 1 to win the Champions League, and they were kicked out by Atlético de Madrid. Now Liverpool also favorites number 1 to win the Champions League together with Barcelona. And actually the Opta supercomputer that Ronan loved put Liverpool as massive favorites to win this Champions League ahead of PSG. For instance, the current champion playing on Wednesday, 9 p.m. against Atalanta, the debut of the French team with a lot of injury issues. Still, no matter if 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝗀, Dembélé, Luis Enrique, and the list is long, are not available, even if Luis Enrique, of course, is not playing, but they are winning all the games. And Atalanta, Leo, we can discuss here with Alain about 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻, if Alain likes 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻 or not. I think our Serie A viewers know your opinion about him. But, well, no defeats so far in his start with Atalanta. All the games, both is to score, by the way.
Yeah, but let's not carry the way with the win on the weekend. That was against Lecce, and the first half, they didn't have it easy, or they went to the break just 1-0 up, but after they scored the second one in the second half, things changed for Atalanta. Yes, Alain, I'm not a fan at all of Ivan 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻. I think it's a sea change, a massive change to go from Gasperini's football to Ivan 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻's football. Atalanta last season in the Champions League, guys, if you remember, they finished 9th in the league phase, only 1 point behind Aston Villa to have made it straight into the last 16. To think of them, for me, is unthinkable that they're gonna make it again this close to a last 16 position. As it is unthinkable that PSG as well will not make it straight to the last 16 as it was the case last season. I think it's a comfortable debut for PSG, this one against Atalanta in Paris, before they face Barcelona and Leverkusen next month. It was always going to be a slow start, I believe, for PSG, having gone all the way in the World Cup, in the Club World Cup, having played the European Super Cup, returning for training only 6 days before, with players like Fabian out injured, now with 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗀 and Dembélé as well, having the same issues. We will see when Barcelona game approaches, but with Atalanta, that should not be a problem to raise doubts on them doing the job. I would like to see Gonzalo Ramos finally grabbing his chances, scoring important goals to win games. There are times when you think he will do it, like after netting against Tottenham in the European Super Cup, but usually those hopes are short-lived. So yes, massive favoritism here for PSG. I don't see Atalanta, despite this being undefeated at the start of the season, providing problems for Luis Enrique and PSG. My take here, PSG Asian handicap -2, odds of 2.02.
Big result for PSG. What is your opinion about Ivan 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻, Alain?
Well, Ivan 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝐻, yes, but the reason is simple. 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗋 is the manager who was working more season with Gasperini like assistant, and they try to give continuity. 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗋 until his pass for Torino and after Southampton in Verona, he do the things very well. Now, improve Gasperini is quite impossible in Bergamo.
That's true.
Especially during this mercato, Atalanta have money, and they don't buy players to change the things. They're gambles about the continuity. Maybe in the wing, 𝐬𝐭𝐴 can improve Ruggeri, but in the attack they lose 𝗵𝗵𝗍. 𝗵𝗵𝗍 was the top scorer of the Serie A, and 𝐿𝐿 is a good player, but he's not like 𝗵𝗵𝗍. He don't have the same skills. He's more assistant player. And how the vestiaire received 𝗬𝐭𝐴? That one is the big question. We can add they lose Ederson during 1 month. Ederson is the brain of this team. My father is come from Bergamo, and I know the atmosphere right now, and the vibration are not so high, and people are not so positive. They don't manage really well the case of Lookman, because yes, I understand the player are not the boss, but the player at the end will have what he wants. They lose this time. Lookman was so important for this team, and now go to Paris to start the championship is the worst news, or maybe the best news for 𝗬𝐭𝐴, because if he loses, is the normality, no? But with Gasperini, that type of game, Atalanta catch a lot of good results, because they catch point in here in Barcelona, in England he won in Anfield. Yes, big. He won in Ajax against a very good Ajax. I don't see that with 𝗬𝐭𝐴. I'm sincerely, but yes, maybe the team will be rebel yourself and start to working with the same professionality like with Gasperini. But I have a lot of doubt, like you guys. Like Paris Saint-Germain right now is a perfect machine in one way, no? And in the collective analysis, when do you see the movement of the team is exactly Luis Enrique asked to the team. And after you add that quality, technical quality, wow, is one of the best team to see for the analyst and the tactical analyst. And now in Europe, watch PSG is a pleasure. Is a really pleasure. And yes, I am with Leo, because I am big fan of Gonzalo Ramos. I think he maybe he will had something more to this team. A guy in the area to make the difference, to score the ugly goal. And with that level, the grade of creation, have the team is another things we will be checked. In spite of that, I think we will be see a match with a lot of goal. I choose over 3.25 goals, odds 2.19.
Well, despite of the injuries, PSG is a perfect machine. Now let's move to the games we have on Thursday, 2 early kickoffs. First one in Belgium, the second Belgian team, Brugge, playing against Monaco. Bad start of the season for Brugge in the local league, but in this Champions League, they played the playoffs and beat Rangers and Red Bull Salzburg, whereas for Monaco, Alain, I would say good start in the French league, 3 wins, 1 defeat against Lille. What do you think?
Yes, I am positive with Monaco. Monaco is a good project. The last season, their start really well. Until December, they have the same point with Paris Saint-Germain. They beat Barcelona in Monaco, and yes, it was interesting to see the evolution in the second part of the season. In spite of their both Biret improved the average of goal. Now Monaco is a lot of young talented player, the offensive mentality. Respect to the last season, in my opinion, they don't improve. They stay at the same level. Go to Bruges is probably one of the most scorbutic game in Bruges, because always we give the rival favorite, but Bruges surprise a lot of time. their catch out Atalanta last season. And that one was
that's
was really strong. And at home, they lose only against Dortmund, if I remember well. Now, Bruges is a...
But they lost a lot of players this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Is I go for that. They lose a lot of players, especially in the offensive way. In the offensive way, that they change the attack line, they change in the midfield. They lose Yashari was the brain. The only player stay every summer is Hans Van Aken, and he's not the guy with less talent. Probably is one of the guys with the biggest talent. In my opinion, he chose to stay in Belgium because Premier League watch a lot the Belgium Jupiler Pro League, and Van Aken, I am sure that he received some offer to go to the Premier. But no, he's captain, he's a brilliant player because he can play in different position. Now for this game, the war in the midfield will be interesting because Monaco is really physical team. Now in the midfield, Bruges is playing with really young player, and probably Monaco will be dominate the midfield. But in spite of that, Bruges will be found some spade. Zolis start really well the season. Bruges feel comfortable when he can run in transition, and this a lot of year that play with that model. And yes, in the configuration of the game, I think Bruges have something more respect to Monaco. In spite of that, I don't choose 1x2 because it's difficult in Bruges. I choose Hans Van Aken, one shoot on the target, 1.90.
Imagine if it's difficult, Leo, that we have really high odds. It's 2.7 Bruges to win, 2.6 Monaco to win.
Yeah, probably the one with the most parity of all games we have covered so far, this Bruges Monaco. The thing with them, I was saying Bruges for me, to make it into the last 16 as they done it last season is not very probable. In the league phase, they got 11 points, which was enough for them to secure that last 24th spot. They could get more than half of those points in the first 2 match days because yes, Monaco on Thursday, then Atalanta away. When you see that they also travel to Lisbon to play Sporting, and then they're going to play as well Kairat Almaty, well, the chances are good for them. But the problem is that they have a lesser team than last season, and as Alain was saying, and I agree, they lost important players. I could add as well Ferran 𝗀𝗏𝗏, who left for Celta after 3 years in the club, where he scored 40 goals. The Cooper, who left to Brighton, they got 90 million with all the departures they have Club Brugge, but they spent roughly 40. Most important or most recognizable player they got. It has not been a great start of the season for Club Brugge. They lost on the weekend. They are 7 points behind Union Saint-Gilloise, although with the game in hand. For Monaco, yes, not a bad start. 3 wins out of 4. The fixture for them, it looks more complicated, I would say, along with Juventus, Real Madrid, Tottenham, Manchester City to be played. It's good that they have not lost 𝐿, that Denis Zakaria is still at the base of midfield, but I don't know how excited the Monaco fans are when they look at the left wing and Takuhi Minamino is still there. Yes, he scored on the weekend, but he's not the one who's going to raise the level of expectation. They have Eric Dyer as a new face. He didn't play, or he was on the bench against Auxerre. We will see if he plays now against Monaco. With this depleted Club Brugge, which I don't think can repeat what they have done last season, although yes, and I agree with Alain, at home, usually they are very strong. I'm still going to take the 𝐿2. The odds are very good. 𝐿2 for me, Monaco to win, 2.6.
And the other early kickoff is Copenhagen, Bayer Leverkusen. As we know, Ten Hag is history in Leverkusen, and 𝐬𝐿 made his debut in the Bundesliga with a win over Frankfurt, and this is not easy with Grimaldo scoring great free kicks. And Copenhagen, Leo, should be one of these poor teams. We said it in our international break that it's never easy to win in Denmark. But well, they lost to Brøndby at the weekend. It's a team coming from the preview of the Champions League. Leverkusen, even if we have many doubts about them, should get the 3 points here.
Yes, of course, they are the favorites here. 𝐿 is a man of experience, Edu, after replacing Erik ten Hag. Experience at both club and international level. 𝐿 knows what it is to beat Copenhagen because he won the Danish Superliga with North Zealand more than a decade ago anyway. If Bayern makes it to the playoff, which is what they aim for, I believe, 𝐿 also has experience in knockout football, guiding Denmark to the semifinals of that Euro 2021. The debut came with those 3 points against Eintracht on Saturday. They lost, of course, many important players, but they're still short of a creative midfielder and a striker to be a backup for 𝐿𝐭𝐴. But when you look at the team they fielded on Saturday, guys, it's not as bad as it could have been. Flecken in goal with 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽𝐿𝐴 and 𝗀𝗵𝗄 is at least competitive. Andrich and Grimaldo were there throughout Xabi Alonso's era. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽𝐿𝐴 is a good player, but but with a huge problem. He can't stay out of injury for more than 2 or 3 games in a row, and they lost him now on Saturday. Ezequiel Fernandez, who saw a red card, would make his debut from the start on Thursday. He's good, guys, to the point that if he has a good season, he could be in Scaloni's squad to go to the World Cup with Argentina. Maybe Lucas Vázquez could find in the Bundesliga what Pedro found in Serie A. Tillman is talented and young, chic. We know he's going to score here and there. 21 Bundesliga goals last season, 30 in all competitions. All games for Leverkusen have been both teams to score and over 2.5 at least, with 7 goals scored and 6 conceded in 3 games. So I'm gonna go the goals market route. My take for this Copenhagen by Leverkusen, goals over 2.5, odds of 1.81.
So strange, Alain, what happened in Leverkusen. We know that replacing Xabi Alonso was going to be difficult, but Ten Hag lasted 1 month.
Yes, and Rolfes, the sporting director, don't speak very well about the integration of Ten Hag. Yes,
there is something at the personal level with him.
Yeah.
That he cannot get on with players.
It was only a sport reason. But it's always difficult when you lose the manager who made the best season in the history, when they won the Bundesliga and the Pokal, and there was really near to won the Europa League. They lose a lot of players. I think they lose leadership in this summer, the last summer. And 𝐿 is a very good choice. It's a very good choice. I don't wait 𝐿. Well, it was a surprise. I remember the best Denmark in the last 15 years was with 𝐿 in the Euro. Maybe in the World Cup there was not the best version, but in the Euro was brilliant. His Denmark, and he knows to play with a young player. And in Leverkusen is one of the most important things, because the market and the philosophy of the club is working with young players to value the talent. But it's difficult to wait something like the last season, for example, because arrived to the Champions, in spite of the level of the rival are not so high in Germany, but the team is still really, really young. With the Champions League, you play every 3 days, and I am curious to see if the team can manage that intensity of the schedule. And like Leo said, with Leverkusen, every games are with a goal market games, and with 𝐿 in the bench too. Now with Copenhagen, I am big fan of Nestrup, the manager of Copenhagen. I think he overvalued the team with the squad. I think the results are brilliant. 2 seasons ago, he qualified the team for the for the second round of the Champions League in the group with Manchester United and Galatasaray. And the last season, he accomplished the objective to arrive to that game against Chelsea in Conference League was maybe with Betis the unique team can beat Copenhagen. But the beginning of the season are not so easy for Copenhagen. They just lose the derby against Brøndby, and yes, against Leverkusen. I follow Leo. I choose the market goal, and I choose over 2.75 goals, odds 2.03.
And the other German team, Eintracht Frankfurt, playing at home against Galatasaray. Frankfurt lost the first game of the season against Leverkusen. Actually, even if they lost a lot of quality in the recent months, as we know, 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, Marmoush, for instance. Alain, you know well Turkish football, and Galatasaray is dominant at the moment. Turkish champions, 5 wins in the 5 games in the Turkish league, the only Turkish team playing in the Champions League, and so many important players, Sané, Icardi, Torreira, Gundogan, and so on and so on.
But the market of Galatasaray, since the new presidents came, is the market of a big team in Europe, because how many teams can we have in the attack line? Icardi, Osimhen, Sané, Gundogan arrive is amazing. The team in Galatasaray is amazing. They're seeing the best goalkeeper in Turkey, like 𝐋𝐞𝐭'𝐬, former Trabzonspor. It's a complete team. It is the challenge of Galatasaray. To improve in Europe, because last season in Europa League was bad for Galatasaray. When do you check the squad and when do you analyze the results in Europe, was so bad. There must have more ambition, and it's a little a limit now for the Turkish team, especially when they played away. They lose itself. Now, for a Turkish team, playing in Germany is always special, because I don't think you play at home, but you have always a lot of fans in the stadium. In Frankfurt, the Eintracht fans are one of the hottest fans in Europe, and Frankfurt will be played at home. But it's amazing the capacity in Frankfurt to value the striker. In the last season, since 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 until 𝐿𝐻𝐿, how many money they do with striker, and this striker after they lose itself, because I think 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 is a good example. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 in Frankfurt was brilliant. I was commented at that epoca the Europa League, and 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 went to Real Madrid. 𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿 went to Liverpool, Marmoush to Manchester City. That I don't know the secret, but it's a data team. And when you are a data team, it's always difficult to confirm every season, to have a new player. Now, when they played at home, is always special. Is a team really, really offensive in both ways. Frankfurt can win with 2-3 goals of difference, or Frankfurt can lose this game with the space that will be led to Galatasaray attack line. In spite of that, I think Frankfurt is favorite. The odds for Frankfurt for me is a best value, and I choose Frankfurt winning, odds 2.15.
Leo?
Well, I think, yes, I agree. Of course, Galatasaray have done a great job in the transfer market, but I still don't see they have the legs for the job at the Champions League. I don't think Lucas Torreira and Gundogan, the base of midfield, could give them all the cover they need, especially a very young side like Eintracht Frankfurt. We need to see how do they gel at this when the later stage of the Champions League comes. In the case of Galatasaray, a playoff spot should be what they aim for. I don't think so they have it to make it into the top 8, but the playoff spot should be realistic and aim for the last 16. But then to believe or to think of Galatasaray making it probably quarterfinals or semifinals, for me is a step too much for them. Goals are what you expect here as well. Germans have scored 13 times in 4 games in all competitions and conceded 5. Galatasaray 15 goals in 5 matches in the Turkish Super League. Fenerbahce out of the league stage was a big fiasco and will feel the same if Galatasaray don't make it for the playoff. I was saying, talking about legs, about Torreira and Gundogan. Well, there is a core of young players who started the season very well from Frankfurt, like Uzun, 𝐬𝐭𝐴, Collins, who's actually a superb start to the season and was called by Julian Nagelsmann. My take here, as I said, I expect goals both teams to score, yes, combined with goals over 2.5, these two together, odds of 2.35.
And perhaps the best game we have on Thursday is Man City, Napoli, Italian champions. Napoli with a perfect start for Antonio Conte. And it's going to be very exciting seeing De Bruyne coming back to the Etihad so soon. We saw the best Napoli in Florence this Saturday. And for Man City, it's true that they won the derby, Leo, but I still see so many issues. I was surprised to see Rodri losing so many balls. For instance, it's the first time I see him so clumsy, let's say.
Absolutely, he was sloppy on the ball on the first half, especially Edu. But that's, I believe, is normal, right? He's been away for a full season almost, and he will need time to gel and to get into his best level, the best midfielder in the world as he has been. Now that throne belongs to Pedri, I would say, the best midfielder in the world. Manchester City, for me, probably had the best game of the season so far with United. It's true that the debut with Wolves was good, but this one, I believe, was better. There are things that if carried into the game with the Napoli could be very interesting. From back to front, Donnarumma's debut was good. It doesn't matter if playing with his feet, he's not Ederson, or that Ederson is on a different level. But as a shot stopper, Donnarumma, he's 1 or 2 in the world. 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 now playing right back. I liked it on the weekend. Look, he rushes sometimes to challenges, or he could be a little bit naive, but any mistakes he makes, he usually makes them right with his speed. It's amazing the speed he has to recover after any mistake, 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐽. And then Foden. The derby reminded us of the player that was the best player in the Premier League 2 seasons ago. Jeremy Doku's decision making is getting better, when to pass, when to cross. His 1v1 and quick foot against Luke Shaw was great. And then Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland to score anytime, odds of 1.80, and that's one to take. Antonio Conte was 4 at the back, so I don't think he will change back to 3 after seeing what Ruben Amorim's United was under load in midfield, 4v2 all the time, with the center back always having to jump to compensate, or Doku even drifting inside to make superiority even bigger. So I don't think Antonio Conte will go with 3 at the back to the Etihad. Anyway, even if he goes with 3 at the back, Lobotka, Samwanguisa, and McTominay are better equipped in midfield than Ugarte and Bruno if he wants to play a double pivot. There are a question for City, the most important one, how they will do with Kevin De Bruyne returning to the Etihad. There are other faces they know as well in Højlund, who's scoring his debut on the weekend. Also, of course, McTominay, they know very well. Super important for Napoli, I think, this game, not to determine their future in the competition, but to see a real test for them. Okay, where they are at Conte's project at this moment. Well, I think Manchester City could provide that answer. I still believe City is on a level higher than Napoli, and I'm taking X1. Manchester City to win 1.7.
Are you amazed, let's say, Alain, by the start of Napoli? You expected this in the second season for Conte?
Yeah, he's really favorite in Italy. Nobody do the market Napoli is doing. The first season was difficult for Conte because he arrived and the board don't seek impact player. And in January, the board kicked him, 𝗀𝗶𝐿𝐴, and he won the Scudetto. Yes, the version of Conte in Napoli is a new Antonio Conte, with the system, with the approach, with the communication, with the media, with that capacity to quit himself the etiquette of integralist, because he played with line defense with 4 defenders, and that one is something new. Napoli is really favorite in Serie A. Now Conte in Europe normally suffer. When we check his history in Champions and in Europa League with Juventus, was not so good, and he probably the worst version of Antonio Conte. Against this City, the most impact statistic for this game is Antonio Conte is, with Jurgen Klopp, the only manager with a positive rating against Guardiola. The only. 7 games, 4 win for Antonio Conte, only 3 for Guardiola. And only Jurgen Klopp have that a best statistic about that. City, I have a lot of doubts about this City. I start with really positive, and after the game in Brighton, the game against Tottenham, I had another doubt. Victory against Manchester United for me is not a reference, and in my opinion, Antonio Conte will be catch point in Etihad. I choose Napoli double chance. Odds 2.20.
Well, the opposite. Alain is going for Napoli. Leo is going for Man City. And the other good game on Thursday is Newcastle Barcelona. Barcelona favorite, still good odds after the exhibition against Valencia. They always trash Valencia, actually, probably. Without Lamine Yamal again in this game, but it's never easy to go to St. James's Park. We saw it last season in the Champions League. We saw it even in the Premier League with Liverpool. They were playing against 10 men, and still they have to suffer to get the 3 points. Newcastle is a worse team, Alain, than last season, but perhaps 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 is a good fit, actually. I like this kind of strikers that are like a number 9, and we saw him in his debut scoring the winner.
Yes, but they don't lose him. The difference in Newcastle is the manager. I think he is brilliant. The manager of Newcastle is brilliant. With a team with more deep, with a squad with 22 players can be play at this level, with this idea, with his model of play, I think he can win a Premier League. A brilliant manager. I am totally a fan about the manager of Newcastle. I remember the season when they played in Champions League with a risk, with a passion, with this direct football we are missing every day more. And Barcelona suffered that. Suffered direct team. There will be create a lot of occasion because Newcastle concede, in spite of maybe since the beginning of the season, maybe except the game of Liverpool, we saw a more balanced team in the management of the energy, no? And yes, it's a good test, and I am curious to see Newcastle against Barcelona. I remember Newcastle beat Barcelona with Tino Asprilla, but it's a lot of years ago. In St. James's Park is always difficult to play, especially at the beginning of the season. But for this game, I don't choose X1, X2. I choose market goal over 3.25 goals, odds 1.98.
I remember that game. I think it was 3-0 or something like this. Actually.
Yeah.
Leo?
Well, I think, and I agree that the test will go both ways here for Newcastle and Barcelona. I am thinking of that high line of Hansi Flick and how Newcastle is a team that has the potential to break that high line more than anyone almost in La Liga. I'm not saying that Newcastle is better than most teams in La Liga, but that the characteristic of the players they have would hurt Barca a lot. Guimaraes can arrive to space from midfield. Joelinton can arrive to space from midfield. Tonali, he does not have the physical power of the of the other two, but he can set you up anytime. Harvey Barnes, a very clever winger that can break the offside line, and he has everything to beat 𝐿𝐴 on his duels. And then you had Langan, Tony Gordon. I'm not anticipating a Newcastle win, but that is not my tip. But the test, again, will go both ways here. The anticipation in the city is bigger than it was with PSG visiting St. James Park 2 years ago. That night, I remember 𝐵𝐸𝐺, Gordon, anyone who would go to the floor for a tackle, immediately lifting his arms to ask the supporters to roar, and we are going to see a lot of that on Thursday night. The debut for 𝐬𝐿𝐴 was good, goal included. Livramento is for sure happy that he won't have to deal with Lamine Yamal. It's a shame he will miss this game. But the speed of Barca could put Trippier, Schär, and Botman in huge troubles as well. We will see what's Eddie Howe's plan to stop Pedri. As I said, for me, the best midfielder in the world. This game will pass, and the logic dictates that Barcelona should win this game. But even if that happens, I think of Newcastle as a team that can make a surprising top 8 finish in the Champions League. Look, Barcelona on Thursday, but then Union Saint-Gilloise, Benfica, Athletic Bilbao, Marseille, Leverkusen, PSV, none of them on paper is better than Newcastle. Rafinha scored twice coming from the bench against Valencia and was the Champions League goal scorer last season with 13. He to score anytime is 2.37. But my take here is both teams to score, yes, goals over 2.5. These two combined also 2.16.
Goals and goals in St. James's Park, and the last game is a low-profile one, Sporting Lisbon against Kairat Almaty, a debutant in this competition. We will talk more about them when they are playing at home, the farther east of Europe. Actually, it's Asia, but they are playing in UEFA. They beat Celtic, as you know, in the preview, or Slovan Bratislava, team that we also saw in the Champions League. And Sporting, Leo, I'm sure the fans are not missing Ruben Amorim, no? After seeing all the problems with Man United, with the manager, with Borges, they won the league. But this season, they've lost the two important games that they had, the Super Cup and against Porto.
Yes, and although Luis Suarez has 3 goals so far in 5 games in all competitions for Luis Suarez, the Colombian striker for Sporting Lisboa, if there is someone who they miss is 𝐿𝐴𝐽. Come on, 97 goals in 102 games for them, 6 goals in 8 games in the Champions League last season. How they're not going to be missing 𝐿𝐴𝐽, but Ruben Amorim for sure not. Actually, some of them, they might be laughing at what is going on with Amorim in Manchester United. We will see this Sporting if can make it to a playoff spot. I think they are not as good as a team as they were last season. I think it's improbable we're going to see a Sporting having resounding wins in the league stage like it happened last season with that 4-win, for example, against Manchester City. I don't see that happening this time. What is going to happen with Kairat Almaty for sure is a bit of a question mark for Sporting Lisbon and for everyone. I think the good news for the Kairat Almaty is that apart from Real Madrid and then Inter in San Siro, there are no other teams within their fixtures that could potentially turn this dream of playing the Champions League into a nightmare with a thrashing defeat. Sporting Lisbon, Pafos, Copenhagen, Olympiacos, Club Brugge. Yes, they are playing Arsenal on Matchday 8, but if Arsenal are through to the last 16 by then, there could be some compassion for sure. As I said, this Sporting Lisbon not as good as last season. That's why I'm going to go with the Asian Handicap Plus. Kairat Almaty, Asian Handicap Plus 2.5, odds of 1.95.
They say, Alain, that Almaty is a beautiful city with a lot of money, actually.
Yes, we can planify, no? A travel there.
I'm curious to visit this country.
Yes, me too. It's a big country, so beautiful. Now, but Sporting start except the game against Porto, start well, especially in the offensive powder. They score a lot of goal. The average of goal are really high in Sporting, and there will be play against Kairat. Kairat is really defensive because Celtic maybe in 2 games shoot 40 times on the for the goals of Kairat. The goalkeeper of Kairat will do a very good experience in this champions. 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀, really young goalkeeper, 21 years old, is the second goalkeeper of the national team, and I will be put my analysis to this goalkeeper. For this game was Sporting really favorites. I choose the multi-goal market, 1 or 2 goals in the first half, odds 1.61.
Well, Kairat Almaty, by the way, the favorite is to finish last in this league, in the Champions League. Big analysis, a lot of good games, a lot of good tips from Alain, from Leo. Thank you, guys. Remember, audience, viewers, fans, perhaps even that you can post your tips in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions. And of course, we have rivals for you where you can create your own tipster competition. As always, we want to give you a little bit extra with the safe bets from Leo.
Newcastle, Barcelona, both teams to score yes, 1.44.
Alain?
PSG, Atalanta, PSG winning, odds 1.48.
And the mighty ACCA, Alain, yours was correct in Ligue 1 last weekend, by the way.
Yeah. Eintracht, Galatasaray over 3.25 goals. City, Napoli, both teams to score. Ajax, Inter over 1.75 goals. Total 4.14.
And Mr. Leo?
And mine goes with Bayern to win, Manchester City to win, Eintracht Frankfurt, Galatasaray, both teams to score yes, and goals over 2.5. These 3 combined 6.67.
Very good games in this start of the Champions League. Thank you, Alain. Thank you, Leo.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you, guys.
Ciao.